He said, "Class, you can do 3 things with money. Give some, save some, and spend some."
Welcome, everyone, to this month's episode of Lest We Forget. Our guest today is a 2001 graduate, currently serving as president of McKinsey Banking Company Foundation Bank, a family-owned community bank right here in West Tennessee. He's worked in banking for more than 30 years, learning from the ground up, where he started as a teller and now as a licensed financial advisor, certified financial planner, and bank president. His professional goal is to teach people how to be faithful stewards of all that has been entrusted to them. On top of all of this, he also hosts his own financial focus podcast called Money Matters. Please welcome my guest, Chad Wilson. Chad, we're so glad that you joined us today.
Thanks for having me. This is a real privilege.
Yes,
Appreciate
it's so exciting to have a podcast professional, as it were.
Not a podcast professional, podcast layman.
Layman, that's a great term. I like that. I appreciate that. Well, we love to start with our guests and just kind of ask them a little bit about their union experience. So maybe on the academic side of union, were there any classes or professors that you just have some really great memories of when you were here as a student?
I do. I have lots of great memories from lots of great professors, but maybe one that really sticks out, particularly in the world that I live in now of finances, is Dr. Howard Newell. He taught my personal financial management class, and I think he gave me a taste of how fun finances could be. If you know Dr. Newell, he can make anything interesting. He's an interesting guy. I probably need to do like a real brief Howard Newell impression.
I think you should. I think he would appreciate that, yes.
This is the phrase that stuck in my head, the most as I'm sitting there in this personal financial management class trying to take it all in. He said, "Class, you can do 3 things with money. Give some, save some, and spend some." And so these
pretty good impression.
These categories, I need to work on it a little bit. I'm rusty. It's been a while since I've done it. But those 3 categories are actually things. I've got 4 kids, and we've tried to teach them how to be good stewards of money, and they're ages 7 to 16 now. And we use that exact same group of categories with them. When they earn money around the house for doing certain chores, we say, okay, here's your give envelope, here's your save envelope, here's your spend envelope. Teaching them that God has called us as stewards to do all of those things, to share, to enjoy, and then to think toward the future, to store away. And he brought to life so many things that I knew theoretically. He introduced me to Dave Ramsey, who I'd never heard of as a senior in college in 2001. And so that class was fantastic and shaping, and I still get to go to church with him. So
yes,
I get to hear these Howardisms.
Right, wisdom
Dr.
nuggets
Newellisms.
right there. Yes.
They're good.
Those are fantastic. We'll have to have some point where you and Dr. Brady can do both of your impersonations.
He's better.
For Dr. Newell. So
He's better. My favorite thing is when he prays, he puts the inflection on the last part of the amen. It's amen.
And amen.
That's great.
Yes.
Incredible
we love
guy.
Dr. Newell. He is a keeper. He and his wife are fantastic.
They are.
What about your social time? So we all had time in the classroom as a student. We all had many memories that we made, both wise choices, maybe not some wise choices as students outside of the classroom. Are there any of those like social fun memories that you think about when you think about your time here at Union?
Being at Union was an incredible communal experience, getting to build relationships, and many of those relationships continue to this day. You never know people that you meet when you're here, how your paths will cross down the road, and I'm so blessed to have some great friends from Union and a lot of memories from Union. One that sticks out that's kind of shaped maybe even the things that I'm interested in. We had a Greek Olympics, I think. I was a Lambda Chi when I was here, and we were competing in a mile run. And I had never run a mile to speak of. They didn't have cross country in high school when I was in high school at Henry County High School in Paris, Tennessee. And so I'd never really run, but a buddy of mine named Michael Norton, who had just kind of gotten into running, he was like, "Hey man, let's enter this, let's go see what we can do." And so we get out there and just kind of spur of the moment, and we just take off. And at first, everybody's out in front of us because you know how that works.
Yes, yeah.
People just dead sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And about the half-mile mark, people start kind of fading out, laying down on the ground. And Michael and I are still just kind of chugging along. And I'm like, "You feel all right?" Yeah, I feel all right. You feel all right? And so somehow we ended up finishing second and third in that mile run, which we'd never even done before. And I discovered a love for running that I didn't even know I had. And we ended up running together for a long time. And now my oldest two both run cross country, and my oldest and I have done a half marathon together at St. Jude in Memphis.
That's so fun.
So it's funny how the most random,
right.
spontaneous of decisions
right.
at Union can actually not just be a great memory, but actually change the course of your interests or the way you spend your time. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. It could have changed your life for better or for worse. Maybe you couldn't have walked the next day. It's one of those moments you're this is a pivotal choice
go either
right
way.
now. I can do this well.
And you don't necessarily know it at the time.
No, absolutely not. Like many of our choices.
That's
I feel
right.
like we have no idea
That's
in
exactly
the moment.
Right.
Well, you do money, as you said, money, finances, banking, all of that. And so one of the questions related to your profession that we kind of discussed was, why should people continue to invest? We look at all the naysaying about the financial market, or, you check in on your investments and maybe they don't look like you thought they'd look like. So where is the encouragement for those who are making these decisions to continue to invest their finances when it's not necessarily the easiest choice in the moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are certain times in history where that question becomes really difficult to answer because there may be an extended disappointing time in the market, and you think, why am I doing this if it's just leading to less money on paper than I had when I started?
Right.
And so I would answer that by saying that history shows us that patient persistence in investing allows you to win long term. Mm-hmm. We can't predict the future. And many times we may think, hey, the market's going to do terrible in this environment, only to find out that it knocks it out of the park. 2020 was one of those years when COVID hit. We saw the S&P 500 down. It was 33%, I believe, in a matter of days and weeks. Mm-hmm. And so one would think, if you'd had a crystal ball on January 1st of 2020 and you could just pull all of your money out of the market at that time, you probably would have done that. Any sane person would have. 2020 ended up being a double-digit positive year by the time all was said and done. This year's another example. Had a bear market that began last year. Market was down in 2022, and I had very low expectations going into 2023. Mm-hmm. And it could change. The second half of the year could be poor, but right now people are up double digits if they're invested in a broad. And so because you don't know the future, patiently persisting in the discipline of investing is really more important, certainly, than trying to time the market or trying to be overly strategic. If you were graduating from Union today, and you were 22 years old, and you just said, I'm going to try and take my first job and I'm going to put $250 a month into a Roth IRA, it's $3,000 a year, and you did that until you were 65 years old, you'd had over $1 million.
Wow. Just
$250 a month. It makes a huge difference if you can patiently plant those seeds. There will be oaks that are there if you can be patient and continue planting those seeds.
That's awesome. And I love the idea of being able to look at it from the age of 22, because it's so easy when you're 22 to be like, I can't do that. I'll never have that kind of money. But to realize how much life is lived between then and retirement, you've got a ways to go, but you can still be planning for the future when it's like you said, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. And so I love that. That's awesome. Speaking of, so some of our younger audience, especially you hear all these trends with millennial and Gen Z, this mentality of, I want to be able to live now. I want to be able to enjoy life now. I want to take that vacation or maybe own that car, those sorts of things. So how do you find yourself counseling people who are looking to say, take that family vacation, but also want to try to balance and still invest? Because sometimes we tend to do one or the other. We either hoard it all away or we want to spend it all. So what are some advice that you give to them so that you can, yes, let's take that fun vacation, but let's also be wise in other ways as well?
Yeah. Another Dr. Newellism talked about the balance of living joyfully for today while putting away for tomorrow. And it's a balance. And one of the difficult things I can't do with folks is give them a formula that says, use this percentage today. There's some rules of thumb for saving for the future, but everybody values something today differently. Some value vehicles, some value vacations. And so you have to decide what you value. And if vacations, if adventure is something that's important to you as you're living joyfully for today, and you want to do it on a budget, then getting to know the national park and state park system is a great way to do that. You don't have to go somewhere exotic or expensive. We've got friends who have bought campers for very reasonable amounts of money, and rather than paying for hotels or condos or whatever, they'll hitch those up and they will travel the national park system. I'm on a text thread from a bunch of Union alums and got some pictures today of an alum who's going up the West Coast through Oregon and Northern California and sending us just some amazing pictures. And so getting to know, that's a gift that we have to enjoy that we often don't realize is available. So camping, kind of outdoor activities, even some people, they call it glamping, where,
yes, that would be me.
If you're not sleep under the stars kind of person, you can still adapt and find ways to comfortably camp. So that's an idea maybe for folks that are maybe just getting started and trying to figure out how do I do something fun and different, even just in the state of Tennessee. There's a lot of God's beauty that you can see by going to these places that may cost very little. We were at the beach just a few weeks ago, and I met a family from Memphis, and his wife is a Union alum.
Oh, wow.
And they took their camper down to this national park that's right on the beach, and he was telling me they'd been down there for 2 weeks, and he told me how much they had paid per night to stay down there, and I was like, wow, that's brilliant.
Yes.
And they rode their bikes to the beach, and his wife loved the beach, and so that's one example of, of a way to stretch those dollars in this environment to try to have some fun.
Yeah, I love the idea of thinking creatively, to say that it's not out of our reach. It just may not be exactly like we thought it would be.
Sure.
But we can indeed still have a trip.
Absolutely.
And still, we can have that cappuccino at home maybe instead of,
That's right.
So I like that, being
creative.
able to think creatively when it comes to that. What are some maybe fun topics, some hot topics in finance today that whenever you get to talk about them, you're like, this is so fun for me. I enjoy talking about this. Maybe it's not something that's necessarily new, but it's coming back up into the forefront of financial conversations.
Well, I love talking about anything financially, but some of the more recent topics maybe that I've had with folks. One thing would be, is a recession coming? There's a lot of debate over that. In some schools of thought, it should already be here by now because of just some signs, and it isn't. But we just saw an incredible amount of economic stimulus poured into the system during COVID, and so that kind of changes all the rules. And so even economists that have been doing this for decades are kind of scratching their head because old rhythms and old patterns are not necessarily playing out the way that they should. So is a recession coming? Is it not? I actually talked about that on Money Matters podcast this past week.
Perfect.
But that's one topic, inflation. So I'm 44 years old, and this is the first time in my lifetime that I have been aware of inflation. When we were coming out of Union, there was no such thing as inflation. It was very nearly dead. There was a fight against deflation. And so for the first time, our generation is seeing eggs costing a lot more.
Yes.
And home values increasing, dramatically. That's not necessarily new, but the broadness of this. Today there was an inflation report that came out that showed inflation is lower than it has been, and so there's some saying we might be past that, and we're getting to a point, and others think that we've got a long way to go. So those are a couple things I think that they've been talking to folks about. And then maybe a theoretical, philosophical question that we talk to folks about all the time is how much is enough?
Right.
Especially when you're talking about saving, because we don't encourage folks to save for the sake of saving. We encourage them to save for a purpose. So really retirement, we don't encourage folks to be, so I can quit working necessarily. It's to give you options of what you want to do,
right,
so that you work on what you want to, not on what you have to. So I think that's a question that we love trying to help folks figure out. And many times these questions really, again, come down to what do you value?
Yeah.
What is worth saving for you? And how can your savings even make you more generous in your latter years? Because it's just not about how much we can accumulate. It's about how can we be the best stewards. Because everything we have is from the Lord. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. And so how can we, yes, enjoy those blessings, but also think ahead so that those blessings are strategically shared with others? And so we love talking about those topics with folks as well.
I love when I get to see how the Lord has gifted other people. Finances are not my gifting, but beyond gifting them, it is a conduit to share the gospel, to be hands and feet with everyone that you interact with, talking about things that nobody immediately thinks money and thinks, scripture. And yet a pastor recently talked about how frequently money is mentioned in the Bible, that it's one of the number one conversation topics. And just what a beautiful avenue it is to speak into each person that you get to interact with as you are helping them steward what the Lord has given them, whether they know that that's who gave it to them or not. So I love that.
Yeah. And that was probably my greatest takeaway, the greatest gift from me attending Union University was the understanding that you could minister to people through all avenues, and that finance was one of those. If I wanted to serve the Lord, I didn't have to be in the pastoral ministry.
Right.
But that God calls us to various mission fields and gives us lots of different means to share the gospel and to live the gospel out. And the arena of finance is a wonderful place to try to show people that God is really our greatest treasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Chad, I'm so grateful that you were here and that you gave up some of your time today.
My pleasure.
We appreciate that. And we hope that each of you will join us next time as we continue to hear from some more of our Union Bulldogs.